This is my introductory video for comm 1010. This video is about my personal hero. My personal hero is my grandfather. His name is James Samuel Millard. He was born in 1924 in Chattanooga, Tennessee, with the exception of about 12 years that he spent both in the Navy and in California working for a church. He lived his entire life in Chattanooga. He was a pastor there for many years. He went to Trevecca Nazarene University in Nashville, and back then he actually commuted a few times a week. He made that long trek, a couple-hour trek, a couple times a week to get his studies. He got his bachelor's and his master's in theology and divinity there at Trevecca. My grandfather was a pastor for about 52 years, and he was one of the few men I've ever met that everything he said he was, he was. He was honest about where he came up short, and he was overly humble about where he was really talented and really gifted. He was a great man, meant a lot to me. He was somebody I'd always go to for advice. I took it for granted a little as a child, didn't really realize it, and of course when you get a little bit older and you become an adult, you start to realize those people and how important they are to you. There's a couple things I remember most about my grandfather. One is I never heard him say a bad word about anybody, and I never saw him lose his temper. He was one of the most patient men I've ever met. Really always matched up with who he claimed to be and what he preached about. His life matched very close up to that, if not completely. The other thing I remember about him is in my early adulthood years, I was having some trouble and making some questionable choices, and I went to him for some counsel, and I was sort of justifying my actions and really looking for him to justify them as well. And I'll never forget what he said to me and what he told me. And the gist was, Ryan, it's not about the choices you're making, it's about the person you're becoming. It's about the way you keep sacrificing who you are and what you're becoming when you justify those bad choices and those not good actions. And I'll be 100 years old, and I'll remember that conversation. I'll remember him saying that to me. It was a real turning point for me. He was that kind of guy. He was always there for me when I needed him. He was a great father. My dad was your typical pastor's kid, drove him absolutely crazy. And my grandfather didn't ever do anything but love on him. We lost him to cancer, and the last time I saw him, he didn't remember me. Cancer had gotten in his brain, didn't really remember anybody. But we brought him a Bible, and without ever opening it, he quoted Genesis 1 word for word all the way to Genesis 9 before he finally stopped. He was a man that really lived and did what he preached. And regardless of what you believe, it's nice to see that from time to time. So that's my personal hero. It's about my grandfather. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed it.